And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. Tonight we are talking about cocoa politics. It's a major deal. It's been happening for a while, but it's come to the fore in the last 24 hours. When government announced the new producer price, it has generated a fair bit of controversy. The fundamental question we need to ask is it value for the farmers? The farmers are here to talk to us, but there is some important points that need to highlight, and they are factual points about the announcement yesterday, put it in the bigger context of things. You know, this has an implication on our ability to raise a bit more forex, but also to bring in a bit more, dollars into the system to show up the cedi even further, because it is still one of our biggest earners, right? And for me, that's why this is such a major development over the last 24 hours. Let's start with a few facts here. We now know that in terms of the increase, it used to be, in cedi terms, 49,600 per this increase per ton. As far as cocoa is concerned, you're taking us to 51,660, just a difference of just over 2,000 cedis. Now, if you look at it in per bag terms, it used to be 3,100, but now it's gone up to 3,228, right? If you look at the difference, it isn't much, but there's a reason for that. You know, we are now victims of our own success as an economy. The economy is doing well. The cedi is stable, has appreciated significantly against all the major trading currencies. And because this is pegged to the dollar, when you do the conversion into a cedi that is now very strong and given the dollar a battering, the difference isn't that great. It is just the consequence of prudent economic outcomes that obviously, if you are spending with the cedi, you would enjoy it. But if you are earning in dollars and you want to spend in the cedi, you begin to see that your incomes have dropped, which is really, in essence, what the farmers will be feeling on the back of this. It's just like all employees in this country who have been earning in dollars. So if you earn $7,000, for example, a month, last year when the dollar to the cedi was $1 equals 16 cedis, you were in excess of 100,000 cedis when you take your $7,000. This year, you are now all the way down to some 70,000 cedis. You've lost 30,000 cedis gone because you earn in dollars. The cocoa farmers earn in dollars. And so, yes, government has increased the producer price, but they're not going to get as much in terms of the difference. And let's explain this a bit further. That's where the controversy has been. But it's fundamentally because the economy is doing great, and as they say, Ato is forcing. But it then has, some adverse implications. One of them is this. The point is, the generality of us are fine. We like the fact that the cedi is doing great, right? But for those who earn in dollars, they are not as excited. So spare thought for the cocoa farmer in the context of what is happening. And that's where you may hear some of the complaint coming from the farmers, but it's fundamentally because they earn in dollars. And now, so that is the difference I'm talking about. There's a plus 2,060. And if you look at per bag, it's just 128. It is very small. But if you look at it in the broader scheme of things, it is a big deal and a significant jump indeed, right? We are talking about some 62% increase, right? In dollar terms, 62. So it is a significant leap, huge. But once you look at it in cedi terms, it is just 4.1% increase. That is the story. It's as simple as that. And so what we did was to say, okay, if we were using $1 to 16 cedis as it was last year when the economy was struggling still, what would this be, this increase? It would come down to still 62%. So if it was $1 to 16 cedis, they will be getting a 62% increase. But now the cedi is doing very well. So although in dollar terms it's 62% increase, which is huge, it is just 4.1%. In cedi terms. That is a very fascinating story. You're seeing the other side of managing the economy prudently and then having an impact on the stability of the local currency against the dollar. Now, one of the things we need to fact check, and you've had a minority raise this point, and it's a factual point, right? But what does the fact say? The former president, when they were campaigning, in fact, on the 17th of July, had made the point that they will pay 70% of the world market price to the cocoa farmers. That's a point that they made. Now, one of the things we need to do is to understand what has been announced right now. Is it 70%? And the way to do that is to look at the current world market price of cocoa. So here's it. The current world market price of cocoa is $7,601 current. Now 70% of this is 5,320. Now, what was the increase in dollar terms? It was 5,040. So give or take plus or minus, the president is not far away from the 70%. He isn't. That is just a reality. He isn't far away from that. If you were using what used to be the case, because the cocoa price, the world market price has dropped quite significantly. It used to be way over $11,000, $12,000. It's dropped, right? If we're using that, then you have a significant amount of money, far more than this. But we are using the current prevailing world market price. The president is not far away. If you lose 70% of this, which is what he had promised, current world market price, 70% of that is 5,320. The increase is 5,040, so the difference isn't that much. So give or take, plus or minus 2-3% more of that. So within that general ballpark area of 70%. That is a reality, but it isn't 70% exactly. And the minority have made a note of that. Okay, so that's the first thing to note. And then you look at the trend over the period. The farm gate prices have been going up over time, which is good for the cocoa farmer. The highest jump we saw was between the 2023, 2024, from 2,070 to 3,000. That was significant, and then it's slowed down slightly, just 100% jump between 2024, 2025 crop season, and then we are now talking about 3,100 to 3,228 CD. So again, you've seen that over the last 3 years, the jump has not been as much, right? This is just another key point to note. And averagely, we are looking at from January to June, we are looking at an average world market price of some $8,786, right? So it's been averaging like that. But overall, we've seen that it's been dropping. The world market price has been dropping. Now, the projection is that this drop that we see may begin to tilt back up again. Now, why? A few factors will account for this if you read the wires. We're expecting that there'll be a shortfall, right? As part of the production. They talk about climate change, etc., and that is going to have an impact on the price that we see, because once there's a shortfall globally, the prices will begin to tick up. So that is the projection. But here's the thing: the more it drops, the more the Ghanaian farmer will gain. Once it goes up, the farmers will lose a bit. Why? Because remember that it's forward sales. We've already sold it and pegged it as a price. If it's going up, we can gain. But if it's dropping and you peg there 70%, you expect the Ghanaian farmers to gain a bit more. And so these are very fascinating calculations that the farmers are looking at. But they're looking at what is going to hit their pockets, right? What is going to hit their pockets? If you're doing the CD to the dollar of 10 CD, 20 pesos thereabout, which the government is using, it isn't much. But a fascinating point also in the statement that was issued by the finance ministry is that although the CD had performed quite strongly, they were still paying the farmers in the first half of the year based on the $1 equals 16 CD dynamic, right? And so in effect, the government says they were subsidizing the farmers when they should have been paying them less if you were using the prevailing exchange rate and the CD had been performing well, that they should be earning far less. But government says, well, you don't want to do that because you shortchange the farmers, you'll get less in your pockets, and so let's subsidize them with an extra amount of money to make up for that difference of just about 5 CDs that the CD's performance, the strong performance against the dollar would have shaved off, right? So that has happened in the first half of the year. And then you look at the game between Ghana and Ivory Coast, and we've been in this battle for a long time, the two biggest producers, and you can see the production there for Ivory Coast of 1.8 million tons, and we are just talking about some 610. So something needs to happen for us to catch up with the Ivory Coast. And government is announcing some very fascinating interventions to try and deal with that. One of them that I found in the statement that we haven't had much of was the reintroduction of the free fertilizer scheme. And that is a big one because we've had it in the past, it was cancelled, it has been reintroduced by this government, taking immediate effect. And so that is fascinating. How much of a difference will this make to the farmer? We'll see. The farmers will come into the studio, let's have a conversation about this. But government is reintroducing the free fertilizer. And this is all part of the package that we saw yesterday announced by the Finance Ministry, all to benefit farmers. And they also have free spraying machines available to them. So not just the fertilizers getting free, they're also getting the machines. But another thing that we also had announced yesterday that there hasn't been too much of a focus on, which I found fascinating, is the government is introducing this cocoa tertiary scholarship scheme for children of cocoa farmers. Right? This is something that used to be there decades ago that the government wants to reintroduce, giving some additional value back to the cocoa farmer. And you get a sense the government knew that because of the strong performance of the cedi against the dollar, and this is pegged in dollar terms, the difference, although in dollar terms will be 62% increase, in real cedi terms it's just 4.1% increase. And they knew that the farmer might not be completely excited, and so let's add additional incentives to the farmer. So you save them a bit extra in their pockets because the money they're going to be spending on fertilizers, they're going to get it for free. That's one. Money they would have spent on spraying machines, they'll get it for free, right? So you're not spending that. That's money saved. And then money they would have spent for those who will qualify for this, to take their kids to tertiary institutions. Again, government says we're going to bear that burden for you as part of the scholarship scheme they're going to be implementing. And all this will get the farmers to weigh in when we sit for a conversation. But we know that the IMF and the government of Ghana had an agreement, and part of this reintroduction may conflict because one of the things that we agreed to do with the IMF was to phase out the cocoa road projects, right? And government actually, on the back of what they did yesterday, have done so. So all this cocoa roads project have been moved now from the under cocoa board and have been given to the sector ministry responsible for roads. So the cocoa board is no longer handling that anymore. They've moved that and said the roads and highways, but the transport ministry should manage that now. So that is one of the things that they have been dealt with, and also cancel the outstanding road contracts. I'm not sure that has happened yet. But that's something that we watch closely, and gradually end the free fertilizer program. That is what government has reintroduced. So that is running in conflict with the IMF program and what we agreed to do. But you see why government is doing that now because of the cedi's performance. Not as much increase is going to the pockets of the farmers, so try and find a way to reduce the burden on them at this stage. It is fascinating, right, that you're looking at a very positive economic outcome as in the cedi's performance, and now you're talking about cocoa farmers' earnings, and that is taking a bit of a negative toll on their pocket. They would have been getting far more if it was $1 to the cedi. That is the other side of this argument. But the bigger economic benefit we know already constantly. Prices are going down. We've seen the feel-good factor around that. But this is one the government clearly seems to be very aware of. And then you have this issue with the minority making a point about the promise that the president made, which is 70% of the world market price. They said the farmers should be getting 6,000. But as I illustrated with the facts around what the prevailing market price is, if you net the difference, you are, give or take, just over $100 or just around $200 difference from what it should be, looking at the prevailing market price. And I'll ask the minority to sort of weigh in on that. What world market price were they using to calculate the 6,000 cedis, for example? They were explaining when we sat down for a conversation. And the 128 increase, they say, is inadequate, and I've shown you that already. It is, obviously, because the farmers, it's just 4.1% increase from what the MPP was paying them. So it isn't much in cedi terms, right? But in dollar terms, it's quite significant. But the dollar, as I keep repeating, is not performing as well against the cedi. So there you have it. And an upward revision of the prices is needed. They want government to do more, and low prices will fuel smuggling. But I saw the smuggling bit, and I'm like, okay, but that is the question about the world market price, right? Because instead of selling it to cocoa board and getting a small amount of money because you've already done forward sales, people would like to smuggle it out of the country so they can go directly, direct sales, and get the prevailing world market price. Even if they get slightly lower than that, they're still getting more than what they will get from cocoa board. So that is the minority's point fundamentally on this. But there's a competition question that we need to be watching very closely over the next few days and weeks, because we're expecting the Ivory Coast, having seen what Ghana had done, may also come into play and announce a producer price for their own farmers. But currently, you see the difference there. We are way ahead of them in terms of the farm gate pricing. So there is a lot at play here on this subject of cocoa. Bottom line, it's not only about the cocoa farmer, it's about the economy of Ghana. Let's put it in a bigger context. My guests will sit down, cocoa farmers, the two sides, both government and the minority, and then an expert in the middle to look at this more holistically and its implications for you after this. And it's been fireworks already in the studio. My guests have already been weighing in on the very interesting conversation around the cocoa and cocoa politics, but also the cocoa and the economy. There are big issues at play here. And it's not just about the producer price. There's something else happening in the economy that is really dictating what is happening. I'm getting some very interesting perspectives on my guests here. And I hope that we can translate that into a conversation that helps you make sense of what has been happening. My guest joining me for a conversation tonight is Isaac Yaw-Opoku. And Isaac Yaw-Opoku is a ranking member of the Food and Agri Affairs Committee in Parliament. Isaac, I'm grateful that you could join us for the conversation. Much. And he's been very forthright with some of his thoughts already on the subject, and we'll tease that a bit. He's also joined by Kwame Gakpe, who is the Vice Chairman of the Food, Agri and Cocoa Affairs Committee in Parliament. I like the fact that the committee now has cocoa specifically written into your name.
Oh, yeah, it's
been there. Okay, good. How come we haven't engaged you that much before on these matters?
They weren't active.
They weren't active, okay, good. It's good that now they are active and we can talk to them on the very important subject. And I have two cocoa farmers. And for me, they really are the heart of this. Emmanuel Nojo is a cocoa farmer in Asikesu, I believe, and he joins us. Emmanuel, thank you very much for joining us. I'm grateful that you could speak to me. And you know him, Nana Boadia Boatin Bonsu. He is the president of the Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. He is with me in the studio. He drove all the way here to participate, so I'm happy. You see his straw hat is wearing. I'd allow him to wear it because he's a cocoa farmer, and that's what they do on the farms. It's fine. Just to show you that he's here not as a cocoa cratchy, but a cocoa man himself. And Professor Patrick Asumin is an economist, and the reason why I invited him is that there's a big economic conversation that this fits into, for which reason we are seeing the complaints. And I was making the point earlier to Isaac Owusu that it appears that the city's performance may be playing a role in the reactions you're seeing either way. But let me start with the cocoa farmers. Let's start with Emmanuel Nojo. And Emmanuel, first of all, give me your reaction. Your cocoa farm, how big is it? How big is the cocoa farm, first of all? Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello?
Yes. How big is the cocoa farm?
Well, I have about two places of farm. One is 4.5 and the other 2.5. So it's getting to about 7 acres.
7 acres?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Two places.
In two different places, okay. So give me your reaction to the new producer price you had government announce yesterday.
We were expecting something higher than this. So the price is not encouraging. The farmers are not very happy with the price that they are now. Just yesterday, the price is not appreciating. We are not happy with the price. We're expecting better than this. At least 4,000. But it didn't happen.
So you were
Most people
expecting
were
at least 4,000 CDs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That should be minimum.
That is per bag.
Yeah, per bag.
Per
And
bag.
the 3,200 something is just small. Many farmers are not happy. And we are hearing some react from the background.
Okay. Okay.
I
So
heard my
that.
friends calling me different stuff.
So
That they are
you're.
not happening.
Sorry, please go on. I mean, the line keeps fading in and out. You're saying that some of your farmer friends have been calling you.
Yeah, they have been calling me, telling me that they are not happy with the price, and they think that they are not. They don't like doing farming even at this time. They are not happy with the kind of this farming activities.
Okay. Obade, what about you? Man will stay with me. Obade, what about you? How big is your farm?
I have almost 12 acres of the farm, just that it's not on one particular place.
Okay.
There's a western region, then western north, and then an eastern region.
Okay.
It's on the 3 places.
Okay.
That is where I have the farm.
Okay. Yeah. He says he was expecting 4,000 CDs per bag. Was that your expectation as well?
Yeah, well, we have member of parliament sitting here, and then there was a time even parliament was even talking about their salary. They should even increase it for them. So just imagine people that they are in there to serve the country voluntarily, and we that we are there working hardly for the backbone of our economy. I think we deserve better. But at the end of the day, looking at the exchange rate and how the dollar come down, and then Ato tried to force too much in a way that it has affected us. That is.
You said that before we started.
Yeah. Ato has forced too much.
Okay.
The forcing that Ato forced has, affected with the farmers, because at the end of the day, the dollar was 17, and it was good for some of even the average people were making a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it was also destroying our economy. You see, Ato has tried all his best, but at the end of the day, what we are expecting is at least we should get a bigger than that.
So Ato is forcing, but you say Ato is forcing
too much.
Too much.
Too much. It is too much, you know. So we are telling the ranking and then his deputy and then other parliamentarians that when President Kofo said that we should fasten our belt, they should fasten their belt and then they should reduce their salary 10% to add up to the cocoa farmers our price. So that at the end of the day, the farmers that they are agitating that they want to go on demonstration, which is this Monday, which I'll be going to Western region just to talk to them to see how. Yes, it is very dangerous in a way. Farmers that they are trying to cut down their cocoa trees to divert them for this galamsey and other things, and then those that they also want to move from the cocoa plantation to the rubber plantation. Also, we need to talk to them. This has become a very serious matter that I have a whole lot of load on my head that it is not easy at all. So even from here, tomorrow morning, let's say by 12 o'clock or 2, I have to move to Western region just to meet these farmers.
I mean, and let me ask you, you make the point about Ato is forcing too much, but you admit, though, that if the CD was struggling against the dollar, this increase would have been fantastic for your pocket.
Sure. You see, we don't have a problem. You see, the challenge now is we are telling Ato that now the dollar is down. If the dollar increase, will they also do what? Increase the price for us? Because it is trading that we are doing. It's like a forex trade. When it goes up, your money also have to go up. They get it. And it's the same as we, the farmers, that we are also doing our produce. Because at the end of the day, we need profit. Though government has put up a lot of interventions, bringing fertilizers, pesticides, our kids will be getting scholarship and other things, fine. But what the farmers are talking about, what we are saying is, all these agrochemicals and other things that you want to give us, you should add up that money to the cocoa price. Okay. So that at the end of the day, the farmer himself can go and purchase the thing. Because there are a lot of, you see, those are the cocoa board at the top hierarchies don't know what gets into the ground. There are a lot of rot and corruption getting into the, because the farmers don't get the right produce or the thing that has been given to the farmers. They don't get it. Somehow, boy, people are complaining. Some people get it, others don't get it. Why is it like that? If you know the number of farmers that we have in this country, how can we share things that Kwame will get some and Auto will not get some?
And let me put that same question to Emmanuel before I come to my studio. Emmanuel and Nojo, you're not happy with the price you're getting, but do you understand and appreciate that, in fact, if you look at it in real terms compared to the performance of the cedi, the price you receive now in dollar terms is actually 62% increase, and that this is just a consequence of the strong performance of the cedi against the dollar, which in economic terms is very, very positive. Do you appreciate that at all?
I don't like the things. This economic terms, this is not
Okay, apologies. I can't hear you. I'm going to get my team to try and fix the line so we can hear you clearly on that point. But let me come to the studio on the subject. So, Kwame, so you've heard the farmers. They are not happy.
Yes, we share in their plight, but not being happy. But the truth of the matter is that there are situations which we have to put the whole pricing system. As I speak to you, cocoa sector indebtedness is about 32.5 billion. And then as I speak to you, this September, government needs to pay, is going to pay a whopping some amount of, it's going to pay 9.7 billion is due payment for the loans they have contracted. But this year, fortunately for us, we are not going to contract syndicated loans. It's out. More of these loans they took go into road. Now we have changed the policy of the Cocoa Board. We are now going to, road construction is under the mandate of roads and highway. It's no more mandate of a Cocoa Board. So Cocoa Board is going to focus on their core mandate. Their core mandate. Why? The reason why I'm saying this is that every year, every cocoa seedling alone is about 7 million cocoa seedling. But the top hierarchy don't focus their attention on the Cocoa Board. So that is why my brother is saying Cocoa Board, there's a rot there, there's a lot of corruption going there. Mm-hmm. That is why we have to reset Cocoa Board. And that is exactly what this government is doing. The good people of Ghana have given mandate to John Dramani Mahama to reset Cocoa Board. And that's exactly what we are doing. And all the initiative we are taking is to engineer to the farmer. Why am I saying this? Mm-hmm. Now, apart from this price we are talking about, in terms of dollar terms, it's about 62.58%. And then when you look vis-a-vis 70%, it's just less, let's say, approximation. It's about 7 point something. That is left, where it will reach the 70%. In terms of cedi terms, it's about 58.27%. So, and despite all the challenges we are facing, Atu is doing well. The government is forcing.
But let me borrow his quote. He says Atu is forcing too much.
Yeah, because of the dollar.
Exactly.
It's because of the dollar.
But knowing that, shouldn't you then have factored that into the increase? That yes, because Atu is forcing too much, economy is doing well, cedi is strong. If you increase it and it's in dollar terms, and farmers should be earning in dollars, but of course you can't pay them in dollars, then factor that in and increase it a bit more beyond the 62% you currently have.
Yes, apart from the 62%, farmers are going to receive not subsidy. Free fertilizer will be given. Free input in terms of agrochemicals will be given to them. The walls of the farmers are going to get scholarship. You know, the scholarship, as we speak, sometimes the cocoa scholarship goes to people who are endowed and rich. That's what is happening. Mm. But this one is going to be strictly. And then in terms of traceability is going to happen. Where cocoa, you know, the scale, where companies in the rural area even cheat farmers in terms of weighing scale, strict measures are going to be put in place to comply so that they don't cheat them. And all this is going to inure to the benefit of the farmer. Are you getting the point? They are not factoring fertilizer. The cost of a bag of fertilizer, I don't know how much it is. It's about,
so those additional incentives,
yes,
you introduce it deliberately because you know that once you increase the producer price and because of the cedi's performance, the farmers won't get as much in their pocket. So balance it up.
No,
was that deliberate?
They are getting much, But these are some of the things they spend their resources on. And government is going to give them free to augment so that at the end of the day, it will boost production. And vis-a-vis, you must also look at the indebtedness of the cocoa board also, because you don't want to do anything to crash the economy. So we are implementing, this is just 6 months. And the people of Ghana have given us 4 years mandate. And this is just the beginning. The first and second quarter, when the price was set, we were using the rate of 60 cedis per dollar, where the dollar was 10 point something. They were enjoying. But now, because they have applied the real value terms in terms of dollar, that is why these issues are. So we need to explain these issues to the farmer. And as time goes on, they will understand and appreciate the better.
I guess this is the first time that for a farmer, if you chose not to increase the producer price and kept to the $1 to the 16 cedis, they would have been happy.
They will be happy because there are added advantages. The other inputs that government is going to give them, in addition to that, the scholarship they will be getting. In addition to that, the pension, there is a pension issue. There are insurance issues that are coming on board with the farmers. So we appreciate Ghanaian farmers, especially the cocoa farmers, because cocoa is a cash cow for the country. You and I know it's a cash cow for the country. And so government is not going to do anything to affect the cocoa farmers. We are doing it to inure to their own benefit, because we need to do this so that the economy can run and they also benefit. We also let
me bring in Isaac. Isaac, the reality is that this is really a conversation about the economic performance of this government, is it not? That if the economy was struggling and had an adverse impact on the CD's performance, the farmer would have definitely got more into their pockets. But the CD is strong, economy is doing well, and so that's the only reason why they're getting less in their pocket. You accept that argument?
No, I don't. Evans, you are moderating the program, so I can't fault you. I'll be grateful if you can structure the discussions, because it's mentioned a number of issues. And certainly sitting here as a member,
feel free and deal with it.
Give me time to deal with them. Give me a lot of time.
No, a lot of time.
Deal with them.
No.
He said, let me take them. He's moderating. Allow him. No, please. I was quiet.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
When he was talking, I kept quiet.
He'll be quiet. So don't worry about it.
Please give me that respect.
Yes.
You are my vice chairman.
We are giving you the respect.
Give me the respect. First, he said Cocoa Board is owing 32 billion. That is true.
Yes.
Now who caused them? They are talking as if these 32 billion was all as a result of Nana Addo Dankwa's administration. Evans, that is not correct. That is not true. Give me time to explain. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo took over the reins of government, the then Cocoa Board administration had borrowed $1.8 billion to purchase cocoa. Forecast was 850,000 metric tons. Evans, they ended up buying just 611,763 tons. Meanwhile, they had squandered all the $1.8 billion. All. Not even $1 was in the kitty. Not even one. So Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had to borrow money. That year, God being so good, we ended up producing 900,000 tons. Difference of 355,482,000 metric tons. Where was that money going to come from? Cocoa Board had to borrow money to finance that produce. That was number one. Number two, when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo inherited, when he took over the reins of this government, the NDC government, then they inherited 10-year Bank of Ghana loan. The amount was substantial. So that was part of the 32 billion that they are talking about. Evans, if there's any way.
So between 2017 and 2024, what's your borrowing? How much did you borrow?
I'll come to that. We did borrow some. I'm not saying that we didn't incur any.
So how much? So in 8 years, what was your? Because you quoted what they borrowed. How much did you borrow in your 8 years?
Evans, just allow me to flow. I'll come to that. I'll come to that. And at the end of the
because you're talking about the debt.
Yes,
I don't want you to move there until
I just want us to structure it, and they shouldn't create the impression.
No, so this is structured. It's structured because you're not dealing with the debt.
Yes, I'm
not
not dealing with
to exhaust the debt so you can move to the other issues. So do you have that? If you don't, you can say. I mean, no problem with it.
We also had to borrow money from AD, African Development Bank, to deal with the swollen shoot virus disease.
Yes.
Remember, out of the little survey they did, out of 1.9 million hectares of cocoa land, about 315,000 is affected with the swollen shoot virus disease. So we had to borrow money to address the cocoa.
So in total, in 8 years, how much did you borrow?
Virus disease. I'll get you the figure.
You actually could say that you don't have it, and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have it now, but the understanding is that all the 32 billion is not the making of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. Then he also...
So 32 billion, all not yours?
All not yours.
32.5 billion.
32
all not
it's not yours. But you mentioned their borrowing... You remember, I just want to net off. Their borrowing was 1.8.
No, that was only one aspect of it.
Okay.
That was only one aspect. The 32 billion, it encompasses a number of factors, even including the agrochemicals that we bought. You know, including the Bui Dam and all that. So
I'll come to you.
Yes.
I'll come to you. Okay.
And all that.
It would have been good to sort of have a clear picture of what your share of that debt is, and what their share. So we can have. You don't have.
It's not all. You know.
You don't have it. It's okay. So we can move to the other key issues.
Administration. Cocoa roads. You mentioned cocoa roads.
Yes, you committed 20, now as at September.
When we came,
21.
When we came, the cocoa bill, the debt there was 5.2 billion. Cocoa roads. So the 22 billion, you should classify it.
It's 21.7 billion. This September.
No, not this September. That is the total debt there.
I'm saying the amount.
Please allow me to talk. Don't
amount
do that. When you were talking,
9.7 billion.
Okay. You would disrupt the program.
This September, you are going to pay 9.7 billion out of that.
Evans, if it does that, I would.
No, you can do that. Kwame, just allow him. Kwame, allow him. Yes. Yes. Go on.
So the cocoa roads, when we came, the debts they had contracted was 5.2 billion. Now let me come to the free they have been talking about. Evans, cocoa mass spraying, it started in 2001. 2001. Fungicide, insecticide, spraying machine has never been sold to the cocoa farmer. Never. Since 2001. They are creating the impression as if they introduce it. Now, before we finish this program, let the NDC, let them tell us one single intervention they have ever introduced. Just one. But they should just tell us.
No.
Yes, but it was creating the impression as if these are new interventions. The fertilizers, the insecticides.
The interventions were cancelled at a point.
Yes.
Never.
It was cancelled.
Oh dear.
Since the free fertilizers.
No, yes. Wait.
The free fertilizers were cancelled.
No. Evans, allow me to flow.
No, but no, it's not about flow.
Yes, allow me
you said I'm moderating, so let me moderate.
Wait.
The free fertilizers.
We have fertilizer, and the other ones are fungicide, insecticide, spraying machines.
Yes.
We have a program we called Cocoa High Tech. I don't know whether you've heard about that program before. The fertilizer application constitutes what we call the Cocoa High Tech. It started in 2004.
I think that's not in doubt.
Wait. So it has never stopped. Since 2004.
You mean the free fertilizer initiative?
No, you see,
has never been cancelled.
I'm talking about, you are not listening to me, Evans. The program is called Cocoa High Tech Program, the fertilizer application. As to whether it is free or not is another matter. I'll come to that.
But that is the issue in context.
The issue
in
is
their
that
statement, they said they reintroduced the free fertilizer.
It has never stopped. You see, you take part of the FOB, part of the cocoa farmers' money. The money is not coming from anywhere. It is not coming from the accountant general. It's not coming from anywhere. It is part of the FOB. So it's cocoa farmers' money. So nobody should tell the cocoa farmer that we are giving this one to you for free. It is cocoa farmers' money. You see, so cocoa board at one stage decided that the fertilizer part will be recovered. You see, so it was part recovery. But this program of fertilizer application, which started in 2004, has never, ever been stopped. The same thing applies to the mass spraying. The fungicide, the insecticide, the spraying machine that he's talking about, those are the inputs which constitute the cocoa mass spraying. It started in 2001 and it has never, ever stopped. I was the coordinator for the mass spraying from 2001 until 2010 in Cocoa Board. I worked for 34 years there. So it has never stopped. It is not as if it's going to be reintroduced. And all these interventions were brought by the MPP government. None of them, including hand pollination. Did you ever hear about the hand pollination exercise, the artificial pollination, which was introduced by the MPP government? They didn't introduce it. So these programs has never ceased.
Let's tackle the producer price.
Yes. Now let's tackle the producer price. Yes. Should I come there?
Yeah, that's fundamentally the question that I asked at the beginning.
Thank you very much. You see, in the run-up to the 2024 December elections, Honorable Eric Opoku, he gathered cocoa farmers at Dadia Swaba, and he told them that if you vote for the NDC government, when we come to power, we are going to offer you 6,000 Ghana cedis per bag. The farmers asked him, are you sure you are going to pay us? If we don't pay the 6,000, then who does the produce belong to? That was the ranking member then, Honorable Dr. Eric Opoku. He said when they won power, they would give the cocoa farmer 6,000 cedis per bag. And it was the same was said by Honorable Kessel Ato Forcing, that they would give the cocoa farmer 6,000 cedis per bag. That was the promise. They didn't give any condition. They didn't. You see, now they are telling us that they are paying holiest margin. They are paying for buyer's margin. They are paying for warehousing. They are paying for disinfestation. They are paying for juice sacks and all that. These factors, are they new? These factors, are they new? Did they know that these factors go into the determination of the cocoa price?
Recently, the president himself talked about 70% of the world market price.
Wait, I'm coming. You've been, yes, he said 70%.
Yeah.
Evans, you know what?
Tell me.
You know what? We call something top-bottom approach. They decided way in advance that we are going to give the cocoa farmer 3,208.75. That was what they settled on. Then they decided feeding in the various factors. Yeah. That's what they decided feeding in. They are now telling us that the exchange rate they are using is 10.25. Evans, tell me, if you want to calculate an average, how do you do it? Are they saying that between January and now, the average exchange rate is 10.25? Let's be honest. The CD has appreciated. We all agree. But it started from somewhere. When they took over the reins of government, the exchange rate was around, they are even quoting 16, but I thought it was around 40, but whatever it is, it started from 40, then it started coming down. So are they saying that in reality, the average exchange rate from January to today is 10.25? Is that the average that they are calculating? Again, they are also saying that the FOB price is 7,200. Where did they get that figure from? Where did they get this 7,200 from? You see, when the cocoa price peaked at $10,000 per ton, immediately they were all over the place saying cocoa board should offer 6,000 per bag, equivalent of 70,000, 70% of the FOB. January, February, and part of March, cocoa price, it peaked at $12,000 per ton. $12,000 per ton. I agree that it started receding. So now it is around 8,200, 8,000 thereabouts.
But today,
wait, are they saying
7,000?
Say today it's not 7,000.
No, it is.
7,000.
It is not 7,000 today.
7,000.
Let's Google. Let's Google. Let's Google. Today it is not. But we are not using at the spot price today. Evans.
No, we are talking about world market price.
We are not using, yes, the world market price. I Googled.
It's $7,600.
Yes, $7,600. But I'm talking about the average. The average, it peaked at 12. Wait, let me talk. You get your 10, please.
No, that you have given
don't do that.
Let him wrap up. Let him wrap up.
Yes. What I'm saying is that at a point, the peak was 12,000. And even if today the price is 6,000, are they saying the average is 7,200?
So you're saying that you use average, but you're just using the former president, in fact, the current president said
70%.
70% of world market price.
Yes.
No,
the world market price is 7,600.
No. You see,
so 70% of that is 5,320.
You see, no. Wait, Ivan, maybe you don't understand.
No, but no. It's not about understand. Let me quote him.
Let me make this point before you go. You see,
Isaac,
Ivan, please.
We will honor our promise to pay our hard-working farmers. 70% of the world market price. 7% of the world market price. World market price today is 7,601.
Evans, you don't understand. You see, there's a committee in Cocoa House called Producer Price Review Committee. The price you are seeing today, that is not the achieved price. That is what we use in the calculation.
Okay, and let me do one.
That is not what we use in the calculation.
One more question on the subject of the free fertilizers, because you were very insistent they hadn't been cancelled. I remember very well.
It was cancelled.
Give me the year. Quote 1 year.
Just a second.
Quote 1 year.
This is 2020. Yes. This is my good friend Fifi, who used to be the public relations manager for Cocoa Board, who at the time was justifying why government had to scrap the free fertilizer initiative. He had granted an interview on Happy FM. At that time, we all did the story, really. And this was his explanation why the government at the time had to scrap it. Quote, some of the fertilizers went to Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. If indeed these are for Ghanaian farmers, how did it get to these other countries? There is evidence at the police that a former government official, family member who loaded the fertilizer to sell outside Ghana was arrested by the police. So it gives you some evidence that it is not just a mere accusation that the fertilizers were not given to the direct beneficiaries, but that has changed today. That was his justification for government scrapping.
Evans,
the government scrapped it.
Evans, you haven't understood me. You haven't. What I'm saying is that the high-tech program is the fertilizer application. So the application has never stopped.
Yeah, but that's not what we are talking about. Giving fertilizers for free fertilizers.
You are not being fair to me.
No, we are talking about two different things. You're talking about fertilizer application.
I'm talking about fertilizer application.
But government is talking about free fertilizers.
No.
That was scrapped.
No. Anytime the MPP is in power, there's what we call part recovery. We give the fertilizer to the farmer and we recover parts. So the application, no, we haven't stopped.
Free.
No, it's not free. I'm saying that there's nothing which is free.
Isaac, the fertilizer application is different from the fertilizer itself being given out. Government says they are reintroducing, giving you free fertilizers. That policy was cancelled.
Yes.
That the government is reintroducing.
I'm saying that there's nothing free here.
Okay, so that's a different conversation. Okay, let me. I want to bring in the farmers. I made the notes. Okay, I heard you first. He's speaking. I want to go back to the farmers just to be fair. Please make notes. I'll come to both of you again.
No problem.
Let me go back to the farmers, and I'll come back to you, Professor Suming, on the economic question. But here's the question to you, Wadia. The government says they understand that you're getting less in your pocket. So they're giving you free fertilizers. They're giving you free, machines to apply. They're giving you scholarships. Does that make up for the shortfall?
Well, with a scholarship and other things, it is the responsibility of Cocoa Board to do that because for so many years, we have this cocoa scholarship scheme that cocoa farmers, their kids have to. But at the end of the day, we don't even have it. And then even the secretariat or the secretariat that has been set up with that at the end of the day, we don't know the kind of people that they are on it. We all know how Ghana, our people do operate. And even anything that belongs to government, sometimes it is being meshed up in a different way. So what we are calling for is, at the end of the day, we all know how these agrochemicals do get to the people. We know the fertilizers here and there, how it gets to others. We don't get them. There are a lot of farmers that they are even complaining. Even today, Summer Boy and the other part of the region are complaining that, Nana, we are not getting the fertilizers. Even the agrochemical that they said it has been given for us for free, we are not getting it. Others have got it, others haven't got it. And they are even selling it for them. You see, so it is better for government to adapt that agrochemicals and then fertilizers for the farmers, because it is business that they are doing. If you be giving them the scholarship and other things, it is your responsibility at the end of the day for we, the farmers, to get this, because it's something that has been laid down for so many years. You see, so that is what we, the farmers, are calling for, that at the end of the day, government have to know that you also have a responsibility by giving our case this kind of scholarship and other things. That one, it is mandatory. But with the agrochemicals and other things that he said is for free, it is good that government is bringing all these interventions. But at the end of the day, let us ask, are we, the farmers, receiving it, or we are not getting it?
Are you getting it?
We are not. It doesn't get to some of us. Sometimes others get it, sometimes they don't even get it. You see, and that has been a challenge. That is why most of the farmers are saying that, fine, you can't be doing this thing for us each and every day. When you go to Cote d'Ivoire and the rest, they buy their own agrochemicals and other things to do. There's no way that Ivorian government will be bringing laborers.
So you make a fascinating point. So you rather prefer government simply pays you the producer price.
Exactly.
That you can feel directly in your pocket than give you the free fertilizer.
Free, yes, because the government will bring it all right. But there's nothing like a monitoring team to monitor to see that at the end of the day, we have it or we don't even have it. And government, we've not asked government to get us laborers to weed our farms for us. We have laborers that they are weeding our farms for 2 solid years. Cocoa Body is doing that. But at the end of the day, let us ask, are the people being paid or they are not even being paid? I was in the Western region and I saw people, that is a same Debiso, Pillar 34 area. There are people that they were not even paid. So what we are saying is, those laborers that you are giving them this money, add up that money for our price. So that because this kind of thing has made some of the farmers lazy. We are now we have a lot of absentee farmers staying in Kumasi, Takrady, Accra, and they claim they have farms within the other places.
Stay with me. I want to quickly bring in my other colleagues on the line, Professor Patrick Esumeh, and also joining me is Professor Robert Edu, a Greek economist, and I want to start, I'll come to him pretty shortly. Professor Patrick Esumeh, give me your take on this. Is this whole conversation, the controversy around the producer price, just a factor of the current economic reality, as in the city's strong performance, or something more there?
Well, good evening, and good evening to viewers and also to panelists in the studio. A very fascinating discussion. I think, so if you look at what the current president promised and what they are delivering, you can't really argue that, they are paying roughly the 70% they promised. It's just two things that are working against, what the farmer is receiving. And that is the fact that we've seen the world price beginning to come down quite substantially. And then the fact that the CD has strongly appreciated. So I think it's a very difficult message to pass around, because at the end of the day, the farmer cares about what they are receiving in cities. Whether you have increased producer price, whether you have doubled it, whatever you are doing, what they care about is how much CD per bag are they receiving at the end of the day. And so I think it's very difficult. But we have to understand these are some of the consequences of kind of forcing the currency to appreciate as sharply as we have done. We are talking about the cocoa farmers because they follow a specific pricing. But don't forget that other exporters are already facing this. The other exporters who are earning less in CD terms because of the appreciation. If you recall, the Federation of Ghanaian Exporters went to speak to the president about this when the currency was appreciating. So I think I don't know whether it's an unwanted consequence. And whenever the CD is appreciating the way it did, we always have to be mindful that there might be unintended consequences, because it's an economy that is primarily dependent on imports. Every time the currency is appreciating, majority of Ghanaians are happy. But we forget that we can't build an economy based on importing. And these are some of the negative consequences that we are seeing. The other point that I want to bring in is that, it was fascinating to hear the cocoa farmer in the studio saying that they prefer to receive the fair price and they go out to the marketplace and hire their own laborers and manage their own farms. That's because we know that even though there are several government programs, over time we see that some of the benefits are not even going to the farmers. That's why you can say, oh, I'm doing this for farmers, I'm doing this for farmers, I'm doing for farmers. They'll say, look, at the end of the day, the bottom line, what I receive is, as for selling my cocoa and receive that money, nobody can argue with me. If I don't have a child who is going to the tertiary institution, I'm not going to benefit from this scholarship scheme. And then if the system for distributing fertilizers are not working properly and others are struggling, are smuggling them, the cocoa farmer is not going to receive anything. So from their point of view, the only thing that matters is the price that they are receiving. So it's a very difficult story for the finance minister or Cocoa Board to tell and convince the farmers. And also because, you see, you've made them form expectation. And I hope that we all learn not to play too much politics with things that we don't fully control. Because, if specific amounts are not being promised to the farmers, perhaps it would have been easier for you to put the message across that, look, this and this is what is happening in the economy. Other aspects of the economy is improving. But when you go out there on the campaign trail and say, oh, I'll give you this amount in cities, then people start forming the expectations. So,
but Prof, there's also the question about the cocoa farmers are all citizens in this bigger economy. So they also benefit from the strengthening of the city in general economic life, right? So all the benefits that we're all enjoying in the last few weeks and months, the cocoa farmer would have experienced it. So they know that the economy is doing well, the city is stabilizing, and then your cocoa farmer makes the point about Ato forcing is forcing too much, which means he appreciates that the benefit has been there. I mean, so if you look, the cocoa farmer should understand that context, right? And that this is just a consequence of all the benefits that they've enjoyed over the last few weeks and months. And the government in the statement said that they in the last 6 months, actually, they've been paying them pegged against what the dollar used to be last year, which is $1 to 16 cedis. So in essence, there's been subsidizing over the period, although the cedi have been performing. Isn't this easy for the farmer to appreciate if they are explained to?
Well, thankfully you have farmers, and I'm sure it will be very difficult to convince any farmer that from the beginning of the year I've been subsidizing all along, because at the end of the day, all they know is that the government announced a producer price, and that's what they've been paying. That's all. So you can't go back and tell them, oh, I should have reduced.
If nobody agrees with you, when you make that point, it says that's all.
Yeah. So because you can't go back and say, oh, I should have reduced. And the idea that anybody will contemplate any reduction in an announced price is so it doesn't exist. So as far as it's not in their dictionary. And you make the point that, oh, the farmers are also benefiting from the cedi appreciation. Well, you have to ask, if you think about a typical farmer's market basket, what quantity of things are imported? The higher value of a lower value of the cedi and more producer price, this is, for most of them, this is a major source of their earning. So if it is affected, if it is not going up, its impact on their bottom line is probably more than what we are all seeing. The general market.
But then there's also the question about the low inflation right now, right? So the strong cedi has a knock-on effect on inflation. The prices have dropped, and so they should be feeling that, shouldn't they? They've been going to the market.
Yeah, well, so again, I think we have to dissect the inflation number a little bit. I understand people's market basket. The inflation is an average for everybody. But if you take a typical farmer, what are they buying? They are probably food crop farmers as well. And you have to ask whether on average, if inflation is slowing down, whether a typical food crop farmer as well as a cash crop farmer will be a net bet, will gain in the net. I'm not sure that's how they will see it. But I think perhaps we have to understand that all this about cocoa rules, all this about cocoa board debt, all this about all the foreign participation, all the produce buying companies, nobody has any work to do if the cocoa farmer is not working hard and producing the cocoa. So they have every right to demand that, look, the industry is built on their hard work. It's built on the strength of what they do. So they have every right to expect that they get more. So you can say, yes, the general economic environment has improved and they should be beneficiaries. But I think at the end of the day, their reality, their economy is what comes to them directly and what they face directly. And so I don't think that they will feel it will be enough compensation for them to hear that, well, the general economic environment is improving. I don't think they will see
and
that.
I want to bring in Emmanuel before I come to my guest in the studio again. Is Emmanuel Nojo on the line with me? Is he on? Okay. Oh, we've lost him there. Hi, Emmanuel. Can you hear me? Oh, good.
Yeah.
We still have that challenge with this line. Let's fix that so that I can hear him clearly. Okay, let me come back to the studio. Kwame, Isaac raised some fundamental issues about what you promised and what you're giving them. 6,000 CDs, he says, was what was promised last year. And you haven't delivered that. It says the debt that you mentioned. It's also not one that is entirely accurate because you also piled up a significant amount of that debt. What do you have to say?
What I want to see is that when you look at what they are saying, is it not true that Cocoa Board is owing 32.5 billion? And as I speak to you, the amount that is due this just September, Ghana need to pay about 9.7 billion Ghana cedis. Cocoa Road commitment, as we speak, is 21.7 billion. And even out of that, it is only 4.4 billion that was disclosed as a debt. Are you getting what I'm saying? The debt disclosed is only 4.4. The remaining was not disclosed. These are some of the factors. And then the revenue loss. As I speak to you, Cocoa Board failed to supply 333,767 tons of cocoa because they have mortgaged the cocoa. Are you getting it? They have mortgaged cocoa. They have taken loan and then priced per ton $2,600. So whether the cocoa prices go up, we have to supply cocoa to the debtors.
But isn't the standard practice that all of you have done in the past?
Standard practice?
Isn't the standard practice?
If what is wrong is wrong. What is wrong is wrong. And all those loans, what is in your benefit to the people of Ghana as well as the cocoa farmers?
We've always mortgaged cocoa. I mean, we sell it. We sell it forward sale. We made it forward sales. You take the money up front. But it's nothing new.
Yes, so that is why this era we are resetting Cocoa Board, and that is why we are not taking syndicated loan. We are not going to.
So have you stopped forward sales?
Yeah, no, because they have committed and they have taken loan, and it's a debt on us. We have to fulfill our debt obligations, and that is where the problem is. And these are some of the challenges, coupled with the challenges on the Cocoa Board itself. For instance, my brother mentioned Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire, for instance, they are doing their cocoa. It's not controlled by the government. It's a cooperative system they are running. So producers produce and any cooperative can buy and they sell. That's the system they are running. But in Ghana, Cocoa Board, I mean, you can't sell cocoa to anybody apart from to Cocoa Board. This is the system we are also running. And then because Ghana have seen cocoa as a cash cow for the country. And this has been existing for long. So it is about implementation. And in terms of a promise, President Mahama promised 70%. The current, in terms of the producer price that we are talking about, it doesn't deviate too much from the 70%.
It's a deviation nonetheless.
Yeah, it's very less. It's not too much. Are you getting the point? But in addition to this, there is a lot of incentive package for the farmers we are talking about.
You've had the farmer,
Yes.
one that makes the point that he's had the incentive, but he wants the money in his pocket.
The reason...
Give him the money in
Yes.
his pocket so he will go and buy his own fertilizer.
Legitimately, they are
spray
right.
his own farm.
Legitimately, they are right. The reason why they are right is that all along so many years, this incentive package have been put in place. It's not going directly to the farmer. They are not benefiting. That is why their reaction is like that. Yeah. They are reacting that. But this setting the agenda, we will make sure all that we are saying go to the right person, the farmer. We are going to police it and make sure it go to the beneficiary, the farmers to use. That is where the problem is. The gap is about, is all these agrochemicals, fertilizers reaching the farmers? People are not shortchanging the farmers. That is all about it. This is a challenge about the whole thing. But if they are able, these inputs are reaching the farmers, they will not complain. They will rather applaud the government. And we are determined to do that. And we are going to execute that because the reset agenda is ongoing. We will reset Cocoa Board because a lot is there. First of all, you must know that Cocoa Board go into road construction. This time, no. It's roads and highway. Focus on your mandate. And then, because a lot is happening in Cocoa Board. You know that in every year they plant the seedlings. It's about 7 million seedlings. But if the farmers go for the seedlings, do they plant all?
So, but let's circle back to the fundamental question, which is, so all the things you said you're doing, how much of that will end up in the farmer's pocket? Really, you can say all the things you're doing. You're saying, how much of that will end up in the farmer's pocket?
When you quantify all this package we are talking about, in terms of monetary value, it's more than over the 70% the President Mahama talked about. It's more than 70%.
Yeah, but that's not what they want. They want the money in their pocket.
Yes, the money in their pocket.
So the point I'm making to you is that the money you're going to be spending on the free fertilizer, on the spraying,
yes,
on the scholarships,
yes,
give it to them.
Give it to them.
Give it the money to them, yes.
Yes, sir. At the end of the day, what the government want, the impact, we will not achieve our impact. Because when cocoa spray, you know, it's a mass. So individually, somebody, and then it's a season thing, and it's a timeous. Because you need to apply the things timely. So if individuals want to be going about that, it will affect the yield. Are you getting the point? So we share in their predicament. But technically, in terms of technically, we need to do things in season and then mass to achieve the needed result.
I mean, Emmanuel Nojo is a farmer too. He joined us earlier. I'll have him back. Emmanuel, does the free fertilizer, free spraying, the scholarship for your children, does it make any difference to you? Does it offset the pain you felt and expressed because you're receiving less in your pockets on the back of the producer price announcement?
Yes, that infringement doesn't go to all the farmers. Those interventions they are talking about, all of them doesn't go to the farmers. Only people, farmers, those big. So it's given to if the get the money direct. Yeah, you get the money for himself, and you know how to handle it because you know the we have the farmers corporate. So corporate can take spring and that cooperative can do it.
Unfortunately, we still have a challenge with your line. And if,
yes. Than Cocoa Board, sometimes they are far away. They don't get to the farmer. They are far from the farmer. They don't come to the farmer to know what the situations of the farmers, what they need and what they want to do. How many of the Cocoa Board officials meet farmers to know what their problems? None. But the cooperatives can take care of those things. So far as we have the cooperatives, if the money is given to the farmers, they can use it effectively. And then spraying and other things that they are talking about, it will not to be okay, to be done well. Just as they price those of agriculture, they have cooperatives and they are doing better. Agriculture is now producing more than Ghana. How?
1.8 million tons.
The cooperative is being working effectively. I've been to agriculture some time ago on a sketching to see how they are doing their cooperative cocoa farming. And we see that it's working better. But here, Cocoa Board, sometimes they just will give a job or work to those workers over there, they are not actively working with the cocoa farmers. So it's not good to talk about those incentives that they have been giving to farmers. Not all farmers get those incentives.
You've heard the assurance.
They are going to register farmers. And how many of the farmers would be on their registered list? If you don't register and you don't have the cocoa card, it means you are not going to get those incentives, these chemicals and these machines and those things. So how would those people who don't register, how would they take care of their farm?
We had an assurance from the vice chair. We had an assurance. We had an assurance from the. Hello, Emmanuel.
They talk a lot about those things, but practically, it's not helping the farmers. We have to give all the money to the farmers so that we can.
Okay, that's what he wants.
We can
let me come back to let me come back to Isaac. Isaac. So we need to look forward now, and I know you still have.
Forward, but before then,
because we need to wrap up in the next.
Quick response to what he said is important.
Yes.
He was talking about contract rollover. We were questioning him. That is not a standard practice. Contract rollovers are standard industry practice. And the MPP took over. We inherited a contract rollover of 190,208 tons. We didn't make any noise. We didn't make any noise. It's a standard industry practice. Once you contract a loan and you use a certain amount to contract the loan, if the production falls short of that contract, you have to roll it over. It happens everywhere. Côte d'Ivoire last year, they rolled over 500,000 metric tons. It's a standard industry practice. He's talking about forward sales. We do it all the time, cocoa board. That's how we sell our cocoa. Forward sales. If you are not aware, let me tell you. Then syndicated loan. Syndicated loan, 2024, 2025. We didn't borrow a dime. And now the Dankwa asked Cocoa Board to develop a self-financing model. And that is what we use to purchase cocoa to manage the cocoa industry 2024, 2025. That model, self-financing model. So when he says we are not going to contract, or when you were talking, I kept quiet. Don't be doing that,
yes.
please. If you do that, you disrupt the program. So they should give credit to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Give credit. That is what people punish you.
Self-financing model. He's talking about the president's promising 70% and delivering. He said when the producer price is announced, farmers will be very, very, very happy.
Yes.
Those are the words of the president.
Yes.
You should go back. You should go back and tell them whether they are happy. They should go back and ask them whether they are happy about this price. Farmers are so disappointed. They are so sad. So he cannot go back and tell them the 70% which is cooked.
As time goes on, it's not cooked.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You are my vice president. Yes, just one last one. The assurance is given. Between January and now, they have been supplying fungicides, fertilizers, spraying machines, flower inducers. Where did they get it from? Where did they get it from? If they are saying that those programs were stopped between January and now.
Have they been supplying that?
Yes, they have been. And some don't get.
They have been?
And some don't get. Well, they haven't bought. They haven't bought.
Not all the farmers that.
Not all the farmers. If you are not NDC, they won't give you. Yes, that is what is happening.
Let me hear the farmer.
That's exactly what is happening.
Let me hear the farmer. Let me hear the farmer. Yes.
It's not about politics.
Okay.
It's not about politics.
But it's about those that they are doing the distribution. They have the fault. They are the people that we will fault them, because at the end there are people. Some are boy like this. They are complaining. When you come to Eastern region, some part like where Noju is staying like that, there are a lot of people that they are not getting it. We know some of them.
Why?
We know
Why?
Why? Because it gets into a wrong hands of the people. It gets wrong hands of the people. Wrong hands with the people.
Yes. That's from Akrodi.
You can't just wake up and give things to the church people just to share. We have cooperatives and other things.
Yes.
They are registered. Give it to them, and they know their members, and they will give it, and they will share it.
That's what they're going to do.
Because each and every farmer knows that you live here, you have 3 acres of land.
Final word to put up. He says that's what they're going to do.
Yes, that's what we are implementing. Corporate farming. It's not about party line. They have been using their party.
They haven't bought anything.
Who said you haven't bought anything? Do you have record?
Yes, I do.
Can you substantiate that?
They haven't bought one.
Okay.
Just one.
Okay.
Show me the evidence.
Yeah, just a second.
with all the discussion that we are doing,
briefly.
there's something serious and dangerous that we need to look at.
Richard, very quickly.
Because one, we have to look at the cocoa smuggling.
Yes.
Two, we have to look at this demonstration that the farmers have made up their mind just to do it. Look at which is coming on this very Monday. And then two, there's a climate change.
Okay, Kwame and Isaac.
Rankin, there is a climate change, seriously, which is affecting the cocoa.
That's why the production is going down.
And the focus is not there. We are thinking about the pricing. Ato has forced too much in a way that we, the farmers, are suffering. So what we are telling the president that now we need a little bit of, how do you call it, an increment of it, just to make sure that the farmers.
Just a second, let me wrap up with Professor Sumin. He says they want. No, we wrap up. He says the farmers want a little bit of increase. Can the economy contain that?
To do those things.
Prof, very briefly, can the economy contain an increase beyond what was approved? Would you be surprised? Are we assuming? No, he's not. He's not. I can see him.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the initial part of your question.
I mean, very straight to the point. The farmers say they want a bit more. Can this economy contain that?
Well, I think it will be difficult for the government to, as it is, increase the price. Perhaps if the CD exchange changes along the way, or if the international price changes, then perhaps they could pass more of the benefits to the farmers. But I think as it is, they've told the IMF that they're going to pay 60 to 70% of the producer price. So if you are doing right about that, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to say that they are going to revise the number.
Professor Patrick Osumen, economist, thank you very much. And Isaac, I'm grateful that you joined me. I know you want. If we can do it a second, yes.
We're in a second. In a second.
And I have.
Because you have a distributing.
Can you if not have to end? Yes, go on.
Yes. If you cannot spell, do not rise.
Untme spell yeah.
Mantro.
Okay. And
Because of those reasons, that is why you are out of power.
And your 1 minute, your 1 second.
My 1 minute is that those are the reasons why they are voted out of power, and they will remain in opposition.
What we are saying is, we have the member of parliament. They represent we, the farmers, and we, citizens of this country. Yeah. What we are telling them is, they should cut down their salary 10%.
So that they can add that for us. Okay.
I'm coming. This is very short.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.